My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love is rare, as any she belied with false compare. For the English visual representation, I chose Sonnet 130 by William Shakespeare, and the poem is about people comparing their love to things that they are not, and the theme is love of a person cannot be described by comparison as it is unique, and trying to describe it with other things only takes away from love itself. The first line, like all the lines in the first and second quadrant, is an example of how poets and other people describe their love and how it is bad. It also foreshadows and gives it the first glimpses of the theme, as it is an example of when broken down metaphors and similes make no sense and are unnecessary when describing your love, as no word should be able to describe it. The reason I chose to have a pawn with an eye on it and a queen with a sun is because I wanted to show that sun was better than pawn through the queen being more valuable than a pawn in chess. The second line, as mentioned before, is another comparison which leaves his mistress in a negative compared to what he's comparing it to. It thereby builds upon the theme of the poem and makes it more visible. I decided to use images of a red 458 Italia to stick with the color of red, and a Peel P50, which is also red, to stick with the color of red again. I also used these two very different cars to show how the Coral is obviously far better than the Peel P50, as the 458 Italia is way out of the Peel P50's league. The third line again, as mentioned before, is just another comparison which builds upon the theme more. In this line, I decided to show a snowman and a melted snowman to show how the comparisons can only lead to disappointment. And the fourth line is yet again another comparison between his mistress and something else. This time I decided to use the Europhobia flangae plant, or as it is commonly called, the Medusa plant, as I wanted to show her hair being all messed up, but in a more unique way that not everyone would think of. The fifth and sixth lines together are another comparison, which Shakespeare again makes the theme more shown. I chose to use the red and white roses to show the beauty of a rose and its color, and a black rose to show the wrongfulness and disappointment of the comparison when looking at it factually. In the seventh and eighth line, Shakespeare put yet another comparison, cementing the theme. In this comparison, he put his mistress down way more than the others by using the very powerful negative word reeks when speaking about her smell, compared to the smell of perfume. This very negative tone changes very abruptly in the Volta, where Shakespeare does another comparison, but this time leaves his mistress in a more positive way, using the word love in consonance with their speaking, and therefore I chose a more positive image, showing a heart in a speech bubble. I, however, still had to show that whilst his mistress was good, she was not the best, and his heart still preferred music over the speaking with his mistress when it comes to his ears. In the two final lines of the Volta, Shakespeare describes his mistress with a goddess, and instead of putting down his mistress, he makes a neutral statement. For this reason, I decided to have only one image for these two lines, showing that his mistress walks and is not putting her down. I used a group of men marching because treads on the ground reminds me more of marching than normal walking. For the first line of the ending couplet, I decided to use steak because of the word rare in it, and how steak can be rare. I thought this was funny. It would be a good twist on the word. I also used halo, as it shows holy as something is rare, he made this thought very clear and strong and religious word by heaven. For the final line of the poem and the couplet, I chose to have Pinocchio, as I thought that the final line was putting the theme all together. And I decided to introduce a character that everyone knew for lying. And I thought Pinocchio was the perfect fit, as in this story you also learn that lying was bad, as this poem is trying to show you.